friends, and welcome to episode 165 of The Rewind, a podcast dedicated to keeping its listeners on the cutting edge of the upcoming MMO Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. Draq and I want to thank you for your support as we are hosting our 10th episode. We have had huge shoes to fill, but we have done our best to continue the legacy and promote a game we love so much. If you like our content and want to help keep this labor of love going, please help the all-knowing algorithm by clicking the like and subscribe button. And if you are in a place financially and want to support us on Patreon, please follow the link below and pick a tier that works best for you. Our raid tier gives you a deep dive into how we plan the show and discuss things and involves you each week by doing your top 5 or just reviewing our show notes and having great communication with us to influence what we talk about. This week, we have a very special guest, our dear friend and my paladin brother, the Nathan Napalm. Nathan has been a longtime friend to Static Group Live, formerly Pantheon Plus, and has hosted lots of shows with us over the many years and iterations of different Pantheon content. Let's see what trouble he can get us in, and maybe we'll learn something about him we never knew before. Now, on with the show. Well, Draq, like I said in the intro, we've got a special guest, and before we let Nathan talk, we've got him in his little cage and, not allowed to say anything yet. So before we let him out of his cage, I just want to get people real excited that this month and a little bit of next month, we've got some serious guests lined up. Not just Nathan, but I don't want to spoil anybody, but stay continued. Draq has put in extra overtime work to lining up like the next 8 shows worth of guests. This is going to be awesome. Draq, good job. Way to go. What do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, no, I'm really happy. I have been hard at work. We've been lining up, one might say, an all-star cast of Pantheon guests coming up, and I'm super excited about it. We have all kinds of different guests, people that have been in Pantheon for years, people that have been Pantheon for a couple of months. Like, it's going to be a fun time. So you're going to want to stay tuned to the Rewind as we talk to different people around the community.
And the great news for you, the listener, is that means you get less of our opinions and more of other people's opinions.
I'm sure they will enjoy that.
For sure. All right. Well, let's open the cage up and let Nathan out. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Not this time. This time I said I wanted to be Dark Lord. I'll say that. That's because, hey, the Dark Lord's a fun class. I'm so glad to be here, folks. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, Nathan, we love you so much. You definitely are SGL adjacent. Right. We are the same. We follow you, you follow us. It's all great. You've been such a great partner to us for such a long time. Even before I got here, I definitely remember, and it's only been like 3 years that we've known each other, Nathan. You know that?
I know, man. I know.
It's crazy. It seems like an eternity because, we like each other so much, which is awesome. But I definitely remember like hopping on the scene and all you old guys, like you've been here for, at the time, 6 years. And it's like, oh, I'm just the new guy. And oh, who's this Nathan Napalm? Oh, damn, he is like internet famous. He's got like 16,000 followers. This is unbelievable. I've never seen this before in my life. And then, like, I got to actually group with you, and we became really good friends.
And
like,
that was because of Draq. That was because of Draq.
All thanks to Draq.
Draq set us up, on that first blind date.
The bro date.
I'm the great gatherer of people. That's part of my bio.
Well, that is true. Draq really only keeps good people around him. I think that's an important thing to know about Draq is that, He seeks out good people, knows when they're poor, and will drop them like a rock, and keeps the good ones around that he.
If they're poor, he drops people who are poor.
I'm not sure about that.
Not monetarily poor, but like
okay. in-game poor.
Repute.
He drops them if they're in-game poor. Right,
yeah.
Right.
Well, if they don't have the platinum to keep up friendships,
right.
We're gonna need that 3 platinum a week friendship.
There you go.
Tax,
of course.
Well, no. Of ill repute is what I mean.
There you go.
If you're of poor character, he knows to sweep you under the rug. So, sorry, all the people in the past that are listening to the show that have been swept under the rug.
Now you know why.
So Draq and I have big shout out to Gulo for kind of pointing us in the right direction of this. You know, we let him kind of in on the inside that we're having a lot of guests on, and he's like, you should just. What would be really cool is if you asked all the guests the same questions and got, you know, all their different feedback and all their different answers throughout, what changes them, but keeping the questions the same. So we're going to go into little guest Q&A. Hopefully that's all right with you, Nathan.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of these I wrote on the fly, so you probably didn't have a chance to see them. So we're just going to get you Chris Rowan off the cuff, shoot from the hip.
Yeah,
answers.
you get the truth that way.
Yeah,
that's how
exactly.
you get the truth.
Exactly.
Cowboy up. Let's go.
All right, so let's go back to the way back before dinosaurs roamed the earth. And what made you start creating gaming content?
Well, it was definitely because of the Pantheon project. I'd always considered doing it, but when I started learning about what was going on with Pantheon and what they were trying to do, and Brad McQuaid's vision, so what actually happened is I was just doing what I always do before I made content, and that's tell my wife about all the things I'm excited about. So I was talking about Pantheon, Brad McQuaid, EverQuest. And you got to keep in mind, we were playing Final Fantasy 14 at the time, right? And she loved it. That was her first MMO love, And we were having a blast.
Does it best.
Still her favorite so far till Pantheon releases, but. I was just telling her how good MMOs used to be, like how all the things that we were doing in Final Fantasy 14, how different they are from how it used to be, how much cooler it was and all that. And this went on for months of I just wouldn't shut up, And finally she told me to go tell people who would actually care. And so I did. I started YouTube and I started found people who cared about me ranting about it.
Well, you do it so well, right? Like that's definitely a gift of yours, is the gift of gab.
Oh, I've got it. Yeah, I've got that.
Without a doubt. So no, I'm glad you did. And I mean, it changed my life the last 3 years. Every time a new Nathan video pops up, I instantly push it. I don't even care where I'm at. Just push that button. Let's see what Nathan's got to say. All right, this next question is kind of ambiguous. It's kind of for us to get to know you a little bit, but in your opinion, and this is a very ambiguous question, so it can be anything.
Okay.
In your opinion, what is the greatest moment in gaming? I know. Right. It's a big question.
I do have two answers for this. Okay, first I'm going to tell you
both.
My personal. Okay, personally for me as a human being on this planet. Okay, it was Christmas 1987. I opened up my present. Didn't even know what it was. And I was like, oh, cool, we got a computer, because I didn't know what it was, right? And my dad's like, no, that's a Nintendo. I was like, oh, whatever that is. Anyway, got some Ninja Turtle action figures, thought that was the coolest present I got. Didn't even know what the Nintendo was. My dad hooks it up. Super Mario Brothers starts up. Dude, that's it. No one I knew had one. I'd never played one before. And up until this point, I had only played like Atari and some things. I just thought video games were just like a mild distraction, And Super Mario Brothers, dude, that very moment, that very day, turned me into an instant gamer. Like instantly, just fell in love, dude.
It's that music, bum 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 bum. Gamer for life.
And let me tell you, there's an old video. I'll get a hold of it one day. And we're playing the Nintendo like it's a Wii. We're like trying to make Mario jump with the controller because, we weren't used to it. Oh, dude. It was on, dude. That was my life from then on. It was gaming. That was it.
Beautiful.
But I think for the whole, in reality of everybody as a collective consciousness.
That's what I want.
Obviously, this might be a little obvious of an answer, but honestly, it has to be the release of the first MMORPG to the mass market. It's going to hurt some people's feelings, but it is true by date. Ultima Online, I did play it before EverQuest. EverQuest wasn't out yet. It wasn't out yet. It wasn't out yet. But so that was my first experience. Steve showed it to me. He had it like right after it came out, and just seeing real people all working together in a digital world. And of course, Ultima Online led me straight to EverQuest. Like I thought it was cool. I played it, then I found out about EverQuest, and that was it. I never went back to Ultima Online seriously ever again.
Why would you?
But all the genres, I mean, even to this day, man, they're still taken from the MMO playbook.
For sure.
It was just the largest jump in video game entertainment, to allow like thousands of people in a shared world and a shared
do something
adventure
together.
Yeah, man.
It's so awesome.
It's
I
nuts.
totally agree.
So great.
Good answer. All right, Draq, on to the Pantheon questions. Now it's your turn.
All right. So, Nathan, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you've taken a look at the landscape.
Okay.
But we are kind of the old guard of Pantheon at this point.
Yeah, it's true.
There's no one older than you, old fogies.
The Pantheon content creators that I started following when, Voices of Terminus, Standing Fire Podcast, Militus poked his head in your Discord the other day.
I saw that.
I know you saw that. Like all those guys, the Battle Axe Theater, all those guys are not making content anymore. We're literally the oldest content creators. So when or how long ago did you start following Pantheon?
I found out about it in 2017, like the 2016 Kickstarter, all that. I had found out because it failed. That's when it hit my radar. I didn't even know it existed until the news started hitting that the Kickstarter failed. And then Brian McClay started talking about he's going to find a new way and all that kind of stuff to do it. And so that's when I found out about it. I would have supported it in the Kickstarter phase, but I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that like kicking themselves because they didn't get the Kickstarter. I'm kicking myself because it was like $500 for what's today's like top pledge.
yeah, dude.
Who knew?
And I found it by Googling new MMO that is like an old school MMO. That's how I found it.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah.
So for those that may not know, what are some of your favorite past MMORPGs? Other than Guild Wars 2. You don't even have to
Definitely not that one. EverQuest, of course. Final Fantasy 11. I love that one. Dark Age Camelot, very special place in my heart. Vanguard Saga of Heroes also, for what it could have been. Those are definitely my favorites.
What interests you in Pantheon that's different from other games?
To me, there's a lot of the differentiators, that they talk about or whatever. But to me, I just think it's like, hear me out because this word I'm going to use, you're not going to like it first, but Pantheon really is like a modern take on classic MMOs. It's not like it's trying to be exactly EverQuest. To me, it's what EverQuest would have become if MMOs wouldn't have went, the way that they did. So it's like a true evolution of what I wish the genre would have become. So to me, it's always been like pretending that World of Warcraft never happened, and Pantheon's what we would have gotten, and that what MMOs would have probably evolved into. Because they found like some really tricky new ways to kind of make you have the same feelings that you had back then. That's kind of impossible to do naturally now. So like they just have some tricks they use to make it feel like it used to. And I think that's what makes it different than all the other projects out there that are going for old school or whatever.
Couldn't say it better myself.
Nice. Of course, race class combo. We know it's a Scar Dire Lord. So just tell people why that's going to be your main. And there you go.
Definitely Dark Mirror Paladin. Now, I do want everybody to know I would have been a Dwarf Paladin. My wife hates dwarves, and we argued about it forever. And it turns out the Dark Mirror looks pretty cool, and it's unique to Pantheon. And thankfully, they made it to where the Dark Mirror can be a Paladin. So, I only had the option to be a Dwarf or a human until the Dark Mirror came around. So, can't be a Dwarf, don't want to be a human.
Definitely
Dark Mirror it is.
We've
and
got
I like
enough
them.
human.
I think the Dark Mirror look really cool too. Super unique.
I do too.
I don't know about you, but I'm so sick of human right now.
All the MMOs, dude.
We've been there's been a lot of human lately. I've been more human in my MMO career than ever before in the last 2 years.
I want to shave my beard so badly just because I'm so tired of looking at bearded human.
Every MMO player has that favorite MMO story, that epic tale of something that happened that that you sit around the campfire tell. What's that for you, Nathan?
Mine is definitely. So we were playing Dark Age Camelot. I had a guild. It was doing really good. We were getting pretty big. We were really active in the raid scene and also the PvP, faction warfare, all that kind of stuff. We were doing really good. It was growing. It was, I was building a reputation on the server for myself, and I was the guild leader. And I went to go visit my parents. So like I went out of town for I think it was a week. And while I was gone, Dave decided to take over the guild. So he told everybody that I died. He told everybody that I tried to. He said that I died like I lived in the game. That a lady was getting robbed at a gas station, and that I dived in front of the bullet and took the bullet for an old lady and died.
And nobody saw through that?
They believed it. There was people looking for news articles of it. And nobody could find it because it didn't freaking happen. But they believed it. And like he took over the guild and he stole everything in the guild hall, sold it on the auction house, just devastated people's lives.
Sounds like a real Dave move.
And then I show back up, back from, Ready Place in Dark Age and back home, missed it while I was gone, log in. And I'm getting all these tells of people being like, who is this? Who's logging into his account or whatever? And I was like, what are you talking about? It's me. Like, what do you mean? And like, they didn't even believe me. Like they thought that I was somebody else pretending. They thought it might be another trick of Dave. Like Dave was playing my account. Yeah, and there was like rioting in the streets. People were pissed when they found out that I wasn't dead, and people hated him for years, man. For years, people would send him death threats because he did all that.
This is what you get, Dave. This is what you get.
True story.
It's horrible.
If for any of those listeners that are wondering who both Steve and Dave are, those are Nathan's friends growing up. They all went to high school together. They grew up in the same town together. Lived together for a long time. Lived together.
We're basically brothers.
Yeah.
Basically brothers. They really are brothers. I'm like the adopted brother. But Dave even did an in-game funeral. Like they went all out, dude.
Were devs there? Out. Like, did you get devs to show up?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't think so.
Jumped in front of a bullet for an old lady. Talk about the thing that Nathan would do the least. Maybe if it was a younger lady.
Yeah, maybe a MILF.
Oh my goodness. All right, back to Dymlos' questions. I have no input on these questions, so if they're bad, you blame him.
No. One of these is your questions, but this is more of a let's get to know Nathan the person a little more. So, if you were stuck on a desert island with one game for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Well, I'm on a desert island, so
point of order: is this with or without internet?
Yeah, because desert island probably wouldn't have internet, right?
It wouldn't, but in this case, it would.
Well, okay.
Gosh, how do we phrase this question? Because internet, the whole desert island thing is you're alone, right? And if you had internet, then you're not really alone. Yeah. So you could play an internet-based game. Like I would say you could pick EverQuest, but you'd be soloing everything for the rest of your life.
So you be by yourself.
Can you box?
Oh my gosh.
You could absolutely box.
Listen, if I have to play by myself, MMOs are out because I hate playing MMOs by myself.
Totally agree.
So I'm going to have to go with Skyrim. No, I'm just kidding. Definitely not. I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to go Baldur's Gate 3. That game has so much replayability. I could play that for ages.
Forever.
That would have been my guess for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you just picked that up recently back on your channel, right? Like you played that with Steve, right? When the servers were down on Hills and Tribes.
Yeah. We dabbled. I always dabble in that game. I'm always going back to dabble.
That game is so good.
Really
that game is so unbelievably good.
Really
I'm glad we started playing that together. All right. So this is kind of out there question. What's something about you that your community might not know about you?
So this is hard because I pretty much tell everything.
You do kind of wear your heart on your sleeve.
I do kind of just say everything all the time. So There's one thing that I have mentioned, but not often at all.
I know where you're going with this.
So there's this game that I really do like. I'm a kind of a fan of this game, actually. But I don't talk about it, obviously. It's a game that you play, but you don't play when anybody's looking, you know?
Is it Raid Shadow Legends?
No. It's not Raid Shadow Legends. It's a little game that came out originally on the original Xbox. They've made some new ones, but they don't typically make it to the US anymore. It's called Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, and it's a really good game, dude. It's really good. You collect swimsuits for your ladies. And
oh my goodness!
Jump across the little floats in the pool.
Oh, that's so good.
I'm looking that up right now.
Oh, you don't know what that is?
No idea.
You may not want to look it up at work.
It's a good game. It's something about that game, dude. It's got progression because of the swimsuits.
So it's like a swimsuit MMO, if you will.
Sort of.
Swimsuit RPG.
Definitely a solo game, though. Definitely.
Forget that I said MMO. It's a swimsuit RPG.
Yeah, and I have a really good memory with that game. So
of course you do.
I was playing it. I was playing it in my room, right? And this I was younger at this particular time.
Box of Kleenexes next to you, maybe a bottle of baby oil.
I was legitimately just playing the game. All right. I was legitimately just playing the game, but it was at a part where I mentioned this, but I wasn't joking. It's a mini game where you jump across little floaties in the pool, right? And the girls are all jumping across all girly like and stuff, and it's making, it's just over the top. And
sure.
I'm
Making
doing
little
that.
Girl giggles.
Yeah, little girl like as they go across. And I'm playing it, and I lived with my grandma at the time, right?
Oh no. Old time living with Granny comes to life.
And sometimes you feel a presence behind you,
Sure.
Well, I felt it, but I was in the middle of the mini game, so I finished the mini game first, right? And then I turned around because
interrupt you.
No, I thought it was going to be my grandma, which wouldn't have been as bad,
Sure.
So, but I turn around, it's not my grandma. It's like my very manly, like construction worker, hardcore hunter guy uncle.
Oh, no.
And I'll just never forget his words after I turned around and seen him, and my cousin was there. He was much younger at the time, but my cousin was at the house, but he wasn't in the room. And I looked up, I saw that he saw what I was doing, and then he said, I'm like, I guess I can use his first name. He's like, my cousin's name is Aaron. He was like, Aaron, we got to go. Get your stuff. We're leaving.
We can't even be around this Nathan Napalm.
Can't even be in the same house with this perverted, despicable human.
It's
a good
that's
game.
So good.
It's a good game, though.
It's a good game, huh? Right.
It really is. It really is.
Everyone should pick that up on Sega Saturn.
It's on Xbox. It's on Xbox.
Pick it up for the lore.
All right. Well, we also want you to use this show as a platform for your channel. So, of course, we're going to have just links in the description below. So, click on that if you want to check out Nathan's stuff if you haven't before. But last question: describe what types of content you do for people that may have never seen your videos.
Yeah, so I'll cover MMO topics or RPGs, JRPGs, any kind of RPG. And then I dabble a little bit in the world of cringe. So I also do some puppets and sketches and characters and all kinds of stuff like that too. So
how does one get into the world of cringe? As a person who doesn't understand cringe, how do you wake up one morning and be like, you know what? I think cringe. Yeah, let's do that.
Well, for me, I think it started with when I was a kid. I liked B movies because I thought they were funny. Like they weren't meant to be funny, but I thought they were funny because they were not trying to be funny. And then things like Tim and Eric's show, I feel like probably Ren and Stimpy probably influenced it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got access to a camera as a young adult, as a teenager, instead of filming women in the bathroom, I started filming my own movies that were cheesy, And then I met Steve, and he was into that. So then we started doing it together, and To be honest, it's the longest form of content I've ever made. I've made more cringe than anything else, actually.
Well, we definitely appreciate you for it. I feel like it's like Lady Gaga said, you're just kind of born this way when it comes to cringe. So
Perhaps.
It's just something that you either get it or you don't, right? And so, Draq, I'm sorry you don't get it and you can't enjoy the shows with us. But
trying to convert more people into it. I'm trying.
It's good. It's good.
I think if I keep watching it, I'll be converted. Is that
you will be?
You just keep watching it. You're like, I don't understand anything.
A lot of people in the community just watched it just to support me, and now they're big fans. So I do think it's possible.
Well, I will say we just had an episode this last Saturday, and it was definitely. Nathan always says it's his best episode, but he wasn't kidding. This was the best episode to date. So if you're gonna dive in, maybe check out what is currently happening over on his Cringe channel. Cringe Pony has its own YouTube channel now.
Yep.
Go check out there. Of course, you can check it out on his regular channel too. But I'm sure you'd love if they would go over to that secondary YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button for you there.
Sure would. Trying to grow that Cringe Pony channel.
Yeah, I really need it to take off because, as someone who is in the cringe world and a cringe lord himself, I need you to get famous so you can take me with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I need Nathan to get famous so I never have to work again.
To CringeCon?
Yeah.
This is a CringeCon, yeah.
Yes. We're going to have the Cringe Mansion. We'll be filming cringe every day.
It's built out of trailers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like stacked on top of one another. Like a castle.
That's enough of the cringe.
All right.
Cringe overload.
All right.
In the shadowy depths of the abyssal cavern, Ziplocks, the Darkmere rogue, glided silently over the jaded rocks, his keen eyes searching for traps laid by ancient foes. Behind him, Grogu, the stalwart human warrior, flexed his muscles, ready to face any lurking danger. "Stay alert," he grunted. "This place smells like trouble." Annoying Llama, the human monk, bounded ahead, eager to explore. "Come on, how dangerous can it be?" he called, only to trip over a loose stone, sending a cascade of pebbles clattering down the passage. Screech, the Scar Bard, chuckled, strumming a lively tune that echoed through the caves. "Fear not, my friends, let the music guide us." As they ventured deeper, Anton Duviditis, the Darkmere shaman glyph keeper, traced the glowing runes on the damp walls, illuminating their path. "These glyphs warn of a guardian that lies ahead," he cautioned. Churro-Dude, the gnome summoner, raised his hand, summoning an ethereal creature. "Let's distract it while we slip past." With a plan formed in camaraderie, the group pressed on, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them in the darkness.
This week in Visionary Realms News and Notes.
What the people are really here for. This is what the people are really here for. So, if you're in the Pantheon community, you know that Nathan Napalm made a Pantheon Rise of the Fallen early access video because you're keeping up on stuff. And then you probably know that then Joppa took that video and watched it live on his stream and reacted to it.
Yep.
So we are going to go full Matrix and we are going to get Nathan's reaction of Joppa's reaction to Nathan's video.
Technically not the reaction to the reaction because we're not like watching the video, but close enough. We're gonna talk about what happened. So, worst timing ever for Joppa to do this, right? Like, Draq was about to go out of town. I was so upset that this happened 2 weeks ago, and we had to wait for Draq to get back from his cruise with his wife, a little anniversary gift, just to do this. This was like 2 weeks ago that this happened, and I was just like, Draq, you can't go on the cruise. We have to have Nathan on the rewind. I'm sorry, you're not going on vacation. We're doing the rewind. And he was like, no, Dymlos, you dumb bastard. I'm going on vacation, and we'll have Nathan on when he get back. So here we are. We're a little late as usual. That's kind of the podcast sort of deal, right? We're just kind of a little late to the party for everything. But no, so yeah, I know you put that video up and, said a lot of things. And, it needs to be said that for the last 9 to almost 10 years now, you have literally been Pantheon's paladin. Like, there has been no one that has been more kind to VR and Pantheon, who's done more videos. Nathan, how many videos do you have on your trailer about or on your channel about Pantheon?
There are over 700 videos on my channel about Pantheon.
Over 700 videos. It's unbelievable. So for one video out of 700 shows a little, I don't know, truthfulness or a little voice of reason. And then you're now on the chopping block. Like, I love Joppa. We all love Joppa. And he had nothing but good things to say about you.
Joppa did not put me on. Yeah, Joppa did not put me on Joppa. Joppa was super. I loved his reaction, actually.
But his people, his community, and there's some of our community too. There are a lot of people in this community that listen to Joppa's streams and listen to your content and all that.
Sure.
But there are some just absolute crazy people that just should not type in his chat. And one of them threw you under the bus, was like, oh yeah, I watch Nathan's content all the time. All he does is do negative content. I just, have you ever seen a Nathan Napalm video? There's nothing negative. The only negative video you ever put up, you took down because you felt bad about it.
I felt bad, but because they fixed it too.
Yeah, and they did fix it.
They fixed the thing I was complaining about, and I felt bad it still existed.
Was that the New World swimming video? Is that what that was?
No.
No, it was the Embers Adrift
talking to tables.
Talking to tables.
Vendors.
Yeah, no, that's good too.
I still think though that video helped influence them, that they got the NPCs in before they went to launch.
No doubt. I mean, you were their champion as well. Like, you were and still to this date have been the biggest content creator for them. So yeah, absolutely. If you put something out that says, no, this has got to go. Like, how do you play an MMO? But there are still tables. Like, we were just talking about this.
Yep.
Yeah, there's in the later game, when you get to some of the places where people are not, then it's a table for a vendor, and I'm just like, how are you supposed to know that? Like, you go through all these towns and there's people there, and you talk to people, and then you get to this one little shack. And how do you know to click on a table to be a vendor? You don't. It's not set up. It says it over their name that they're vendors. How am I to know? It's such a confusing little game. I hope they continue going, and I hope they do well. But
yeah, me too. Yeah.
Get those tables out of there. It's been 2 years. You just hit your 2-year anniversary. Get them tables out.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, so Joppa did this reaction video, and your video was 13 minutes.
Yeah.
So of course that means Joppa's video is going to be 2 hours. In fact, I actually went back to the stream today, and that particular stream was 3 hours and 17 minutes. But of course, the first hour being him doing the EQ guesser and Wordle for the day. But he spent a solid 2 hours on a 13-minute video that you made.
Honored.
So
I'm honored by that
as
part.
You should be. He really broke it down. He really thought about it. And of course there was someone in the comments before he even started the video was like, Joppa, just make sure that you, every 5 to 10 seconds, you stop the video and talk about.
Yeah. And sometimes he'd be saying stuff to where I'm like, I'm about to answer that, actually. If you just hit play, I'm about to answer that.
It would have been great. And I know this was Joppa's very first reaction ever to anything. He had never done that type of content before, but just watch the video first. Just take the 13 minutes, watch the whole thing from top to bottom, and then go back and kind of break down after you've had a chance to kind of soak the whole opinion in.
Yeah.
But it's fine. He broke it down. He broke it down into little bits, and that's fine. So really, ultimately, your video comes to the point of early access. It's not it's the words, right? Early access, the words, the debate continues here. So, in your opinion, is early access a development state or is it soft launch?
In this sense that we're talking for Pantheon? You mean, what do I think about the words
when you
early
hear
access?
the words early access,
Yeah, to
what's
me,
the first thing to come to your brain?
Well, I can give a really good example because I just did it. I got early access for Throne and Liberty, and I played it 5 days early. And it was
on
the
Steam.
Complete game. And, well, I played on PlayStation 5, but it was on Steam. So yeah, that's what early access means to me. It means you're getting early access to the game. There are other terms that already exist for other things, and I know, like Joppa's argument was good. Like he was like, "Oh, what about 7 Days to Die or whatever?" Those aren't MMOs. So in the MMO world, early access has only ever been used to mean literally you're getting early access to a game that is complete or almost complete. I guess you could argue that one MMO was the only one I know of that broke the rules a little bit. What was it called? We played it together, little indie MMO, and it had the rhinoceros down in the dungeon.
Project Gorgon.
Project Gorgon, I think they might have called it early access, but it was still a complete game. Like you went to max level, it had all the zones. They just need to put more work and work into it.
Get some testing done.
So even then, though, for that one, I was like, gross. But like, it's just, I think it wouldn't bother me as bad if it was any other game doing this. Pantheon, from the very beginning, was Brad saying, we're going to do it right this time. We've had Vanguard Saga of Heroes. We've had a sloppy launch. We're not doing that again, right? Like our launch is going to be solid. We're going to work our way through beta, alpha, all the things. Mm-hmm. We're going to do this properly. That was a big thing that Brad in the very beginning was preaching on, is how important it was to get this product at a good state before it releases. That was the whole reason that he was like, I don't want a big publisher, is because they're going to rush us and we're going to have to put the game out in a state that we don't want it to be. And they're going to make us make decisions we don't want to make.
Yep.
Now, here we are doing things like that without a big publisher. So what's the point? Just get a big publisher. That's how I feel about it.
And, maybe the publisher makes them put stuff in that they don't want to put in too.
Yeah.
But
right.
You're exactly right. It's just rolling out way too fast. I completely agree. We're only going to have 6 zones. We don't even have the full content done yet. We don't have places for all the races to even start.
They could have called it early game access, as in like the early game. Or just give you some early game access. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the beginning of the game access.
Yeah. Or alpha. That's what we've been waiting for years, right? Alpha.
Yeah, they should have just called it alpha. They really should have. Then I would have been hyped. Right. Yeah, I would have been just that one word change. Same content, right? Which I am hyped about early access. I am.
Sure.
I
want to play Dark Mirror.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's coming in December.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many people that are like us. And I completely agree with you. When I hear early access, I think Madden coined it first, right? You get an extra week of the game. The game is done and you get an extra week to play the game, and then it releases to everybody else. And this is the Pokemon Pocket right now. I'm super interested in Pokemon Pocket, but it is in early access right now because in New Zealand, if you live in New Zealand or VPN into New Zealand, you get to play Pokemon Pocket 30 days early, and then they release the game to the world. Like that to me is what early access is. Now, several months ago, we had Redbeard Flynn on, and we needed Redbeard Flynn to talk us off the ledge because this dropped and Draq and I just blew up. Like we didn't know what to do other than get Redbeard on to talk us off the ledge because we were upset. We were upset. This is and for everything that you said in the video, we were upset for because they're pumping out a ridiculous amount of content in a extremely short amount of time. A lot of us have been here, especially you two, have been here for the 9 years. I've been here for 3 and have been waiting for content like this to roll out and quickly. But now, so we've waited these 3 to 9 years for anything. And now in 6 months, they're going to deliver more content than they've ever delivered before, which is the point of your video. And it's just shocking that people can come and say things like, "Oh, well, they've hit all their deadlines in the last 9 months." Well, that's great. 9 months. We want them to hit their deadlines, but
they didn't hit all of them, though. I disagree with that.
I completely agree.
Ogre. Where's that ogre at?
Nope. Where's that ogre? Still waiting.
That was on that. That was on there.
Hopefully December.
Yeah, I do have more confidence now that they really actually might pull this off. Like as far as like action, because when I made the video, I honestly was like, I don't think they literally can do this. Why are you putting this out there? There's no way, you know.
And what in the past 9 years has shown you?
Yeah, we have no evidence to support that this is possible. Right?
We're still living in human world in 2 2/3 zones.
Right.
AVP is still not even done. Like now that Halner's in, that's a huge part of it. That's a huge dungeon in there. But AVP is still not done. So we don't even have 2 completed zones. There are still walls blocking us. There's still walls in Thronefast blocking us off. We can't get to the back of Thronefast Castle, whatever that's called, in Avondale or in Thronefast itself. So like, how do you think you can get 6 zones done, 6 races,
all the classes up to 40, and enough content to make it work?
We have all this history with VR.
Yeah. Now Joppa, when Joppa reacted to my video, though, his confidence in that part of it boosted mine. Now, once again, I'm a sucker, obviously, for Pantheon. I'm a sucker. Like,
you are the paladin.
I am a sucker. But I'm just saying, he had such confidence in that they really are going to do it, all right, that it worked on me. I feel more confident than I did when I made that video, for sure.
Well, that's good.
That they're going to do the things they said they're going to do is what I mean. Now, the rest of it, how it's going to be perceived and how the general public's going to act, no, I think I was dead on. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to – but that's kind of the reason that Joppa's held back. He said that in that reaction video.
Exactly.
He's always been afraid of what the people are going to say, and now he's just in a place where we can't be afraid anymore. We got to let people see it.
And I'm happy for him for that. But the problem is that we've never in the history of MMORPGs had one release in a state to the public where it was not complete by any stretch of the imagination and it went over well. That's the problem. It's never happened. So this will be record breaking. I hope they pull it off, but it's never happened before. People are going to come in, make fun of the animations, make fun of this and that and every little thing. And I mean, they're just going to tear it apart and it's going to damage the reputation for the rest of Pantheon's life. Vanguard never recovered. They fixed that game. They fixed it. Didn't matter.
They never recovered. Final Fantasy 14. Yeah, Final Fantasy 14, the glowing exception, the one game that remade itself, took itself offline, didn't show anybody, and then spent millions of dollars.
Millions upon millions and a huge team. Like Square Enix was like, the Final Fantasy series is going to be over if we don't fix this. Yeah. So they quadrupled down and was like, this is our entire business at stake. And spent just ungodly amounts of money that there's no way we could ask a small indie team to pull that off. And I would argue that that's different because they released a new game. They took the framework of the old game and released a brand new game. That wasn't just like we're not. It was a finished game. It just people didn't like it. I actually thought it was okay.
But they didn't release something half finished and
say
we're going to trickle the rest out.
Right. No. So this is still different than even that. In a way, though, there's a similarity there, but they can't do what they did. It won't work. And I would argue, a little conspiracy here, that was their plan all along because the story is flawless because they had to make the world end and all that. At the beginning, I was there for the original Final Fantasy 14. The opening cutscene showed a world ending, as if they already knew they were going to have to do it. So I think by the time they launched 14, they already knew they were going to have to do that. They're just trying to recoup some of their money, right? I think before that game even launched, they already knew this was the plan. They were going to have to find a team, fix this game, and they went ahead and launched it with the story ready to go that the world would end, servers go down, world restarts, new game. You see what I'm saying? I think they knew.
I mean, that's good. You want people knowing what they're doing and where it's going to go. That's super important. And that's ultimately
definitely important.
What Pantheon has been lacking over the last 9 years, right? Like they finally put a project director in place and has been moving it along.
Yeah.
And now we all feel better about it, right? Like,
exactly.
It's great to have goals met or not met. It is what it is. But we've been in a state for the past 10-ish months, 11 months now, where we've got some good progress. So, but it's just, we have these past 9 years of being let down, being left in the dark, a lot of the dark times that we don't talk about. And so,
man,
yes, I do agree that we are in the best place Pantheon's ever been. But when you tell me you're going to roll all this out and we don't have any proof, and you're still like, now we're seeing zones being worked on, like where,
right. And we're the bad guys for doubting.
Yeah,
we're the bad guys.
Sorry for being a little rational. Sorry, our last 9 years have told us that maybe we should be a little cautious here. We have a history with VR that says maybe we're not going to meet these deadlines, and that's a very real thing. I'm sorry, people that have been here for 3 to 6 months.
Let me put this into perspective for everybody.
Please.
Imagine you have a wife and she only wants to hold hands passionately once a month for 6 years. Okay. Or no, it would be more like for 8 years. For 8 years, she only once a month, not even once a month sometimes once a year. Okay. And then sometimes a couple of times a year. And then sometimes only from this time to that time. And, it's very sporadic. Rare. And and when it happens, you're so happy, right, to hold hands passionately, And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she starts being like, okay, whenever you want, you can hold hands passionately, and I'm going to bring my friends over, 20 of them. And like you wouldn't believe it. You'd be like, no, come on now. You're going to bring 6 of your friends over now and let me hold hands passionately?
That's a great way to look at it. Yep.
I'm not sure about this analogy. It's going off the rails here.
That might be edited out. That might not make it. Final cut.
So I found it when you say things like that, when you say, oh, that's getting edited out, that's when it stays in. That's when it ends up staying in.
All right. Well, in addition to that, Joppa also really takes exception with you comparing Pantheon to other MMOs in the genre. Yeah. Specifically Monsters and Memories. Joppa does not like being compared to Monsters and Memories or Embers Adrift. How do you feel about that? Do you think that it's fair to compare Pantheon to Monsters and Memories and Embers Adrift, or no?
Okay, from his perspective, he's a developer. Right. So I get it from anybody else's perspective, though. If we're thinking of, we're an audience looking for an old school MMO type experience. Mm-hmm. We have some options. We got Monsters and Memories. We got Pantheon. We got Embers Adrift, and probably some others I don't care about. But we got those. Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much it, isn't it? What else?
The list.
So obviously, when Monsters and Memories and Pantheon aren't out yet, they're both in development. Okay. We've already seen Pantheon's development cycle so far, right? It's been good lately, but it was pretty rough before that. And from our perspective, when Monsters and Memories started, letting us play and streaming them developing the game, and tons of people got excited about it, some changes started to happen at VR. I'm not saying they're related, but it's from our perspective, it looks like they're related, and that
eerily
VR
was
like, right. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think they made the right decision. That is the way it should be done. And I like the way they do it now. I like Joppa streaming and talking about the game and all that. And it's awesome. And it's good for development. It's good for us. It's good for everybody. But on top of that, there's nobody looking forward to Pantheon there isn't at least side eye and the side chick Monsters and Memories over
It's
here.
that
Okay,
meme, right? Like you're holding hands with Pantheon, Pantheon's your girlfriend, and you're holding hands walking down the street, and then the dude turns back and sees Monsters and Memories.
Monsters and Memories.
It's absolutely that meme.
It's 100%.
It's looking good. It's looking good back there.
It.
It's looking good back there. And Japanese understand that if you're a MMO commentator like I am, I cannot ignore the elephant sitting right beside of it. I have to discuss both because those are my audience is either going to play both or they're going to pick one or the other.
Absolutely.
That is my audience.
And let's be real here. They're probably going to pick one.
Most will. Most will pick one.
Most people, especially of our age range, don't with families and lives and jobs. We don't have enough time to dive into 2 MMOs. We don't have enough time to raid in 2 MMOs. We don't have enough time to
barely have time to do it in one.
Yeah, we don't have enough time to level up alts in 2 MMOs. We're gonna pick one MMO and we're gonna play that in MMO, and that's gonna be our MMO. And that's how it's gonna go.
Yep.
For I would say probably 85 to 90% of us.
Yeah, I agree.
So the fact that they can compare,
or they'll hop. You know, they'll do the things, feel like they got their fill, they'll hop to the other one. You know, there could be some hoppers,
and they'll probably play both. Like we'll probably play both, but one will be
one
the
of
main,
them's going to win,
right?
One's going to win.
And we'll play the crap out of that, and then maybe we'll flip to the other one when we're done or bored with the other one, right? And so I get that. You know, Monsters and Memories is trying to be almost an EverQuest clone, right? And Pantheon
definitely
does not want that. They are EverQuest inspired, but definitely not an EverQuest clone. And that's good. I don't want to play EverQuest again. I did that. I played it for a very long time and most recently for 3 years straight, and I'm done playing it. I've seen a lot of EverQuest and I'm done playing it. So like that's what worries me about Monsters and Memories. Like I've been very real about that opinion to all my friends. Like I want to play Pantheon because it's not EverQuest. And Monsters and Memories scares me a little bit because it's just going to be more EQ, and I've already done that. So, but even though they're not the same game, they're definitely the same game. And the fact that, you know, you can call it the Monsters and Memories is the Raid Shadow Legends of Pantheon. Like, I know Joppa was just comparing it to
it getting mentioned so much.
Like
that's
it's
what
the commercial,
meant.
you know, when you hear Pantheon now, Monsters and Memories is tied right into that. Just like every other YouTube video you watch. Oh, here's your YouTube video. Oh, here's Raid Shadow Legends. I get it. So not comparing. So Monsters and Memories people, you know, calm down. He didn't call your game Raid Shadow Legends. He's just mentioning that he hears it all the time. Like it's Raid Shadow Legends. So no comparison to that game, and thank goodness.
Not saying they're similar in any way, except for he hears Monsters and Memories as often as he hears Raid Shadow Legends, which is unavoidable. You know,
so
but he should.
He should.
They're very similar.
Yeah.
It's the same pool of players. Like, and there were people in his chat.
Right.
He said it. There are people in his chat that are saying these are very different pools of people. No. You are very out of touch if you think that you are not drawing from the same pool of the same bucket of MMO players. We want old school MMO. That's us. Yeah. You're all in the same bucket.
How many of us do you think there are? There are not millions of
there's
us.
There's not niche buckets of old school niche MMO players.
No, because
you're niching too far.
There's not that many
That's
niches.
Too much niche.
We're 7 niches deep, and we can't.
We can't niche EverQuest. We can't be like the niches of EverQuest players. You know, like we are. That is a community. You know, and we're it. Now Pantheon has the opportunity for sure to grab more than just the EverQuest crowd, right? Like it's got enough of that. Gosh, I hate that word, but it's got enough of the newness to it, new ideas, right?
Gravitas.
That I think that it will grab more than EverQuest players.
I hope so.
Whereas I think Monsters and Memories is really just gunning for just that crowd, right? Not many people outside of that are going to even be interested in it because of the way that it looks.
And both teams of developers are making games that they want to play. Like to not say that these are in the same bucket of games is blows my mind. Like, I can't believe how
Yeah.
many people in Joppa's chat said that these are not the same game.
Yeah, that's like saying that's really, you know what it's like? It's actually worse than a little bit worse than this, but it's like saying Street Fighter's not competing with Mortal Kombat. They're the same.
Yeah.
They're different games.
That is 100% a correct comparison. That's like dead on.
Yes.
Yeah, there's the same game. I mean, they're the same genre though, and they're both shooting for competitive fighter loving people, right? So like this, it's even more niche than that though. Like this is even worse because this is not just they're both MMOs, but they're both going for that feeling of classic MMOs. Specifically, Pantheon's tied to EverQuest because of Brad McQuaid. Eminem's specifically tied because of developers and also because that's literally what they're doing. You know,
and they've said it. They've been very clear about that.
Yeah,
and using the same typeface and all that stuff. It's literally the same game. But then later in the stream, Mr. C brought up Embers Adrift and how this slow burn was going to kind of flow out, and that slow burns don't really work out well for MMOs, and then mentioned Embers Adrift. And then they said, well, Embers Adrift is a different type of game because it doesn't have magic. Well, okay. Yeah, just the same thing like, Street Fighter doesn't have blood and Mortal Kombat does. It's the same kind of comparison, right? Just because it is low fantasy doesn't mean that it's not a classically old school MMO spirited game. This is all the same bucket. So if we're looking at how Embers was released and how Pantheon is being released, it's the same. This is the exact same. You're coming to us with a release, early access, and when Embers, they called it, an actual release. That's the only difference
that's the difference. Yeah.
Pantheon is calling it early access and Embers called it a release. It's the same exact spot. Pantheon is right now where Embers Adrift was 2 years ago, as far as development goes.
Embers Adrift actually, for the public's perspective, had an easier time not getting bashed because it hadn't been in development in the spotlight for nearly a decade, right? Like, they've been working on the game, I think, for like 6-7 years, but it was very undercover.
Yeah.
When a lot of people even knew that it existed, and it changed names. Right. So tons of people didn't even know it was the previous title that we shall not mention.
And to their favor, right? Like
that's to their favor because people just judge it as, it's just a little indie game that, somebody threw together, we didn't even know it was coming and here it is, it's out. So they're going to judge that with they're going to judge that with kid gloves on, right? Pantheon, they're putting on the full Mike Tyson suit of armor. Like they're going in ready to swing at this
Every
thing because
content creator knows the name Pantheon. They're looking to either bolster it up or punch it down, whichever.
Most of them to punch it down. Punch it down.
I mean, that's gets the clicks, right? And it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible to be that way, but it is what it is in the YouTube world. But though the only difference between the two games is the scale of how many people know what Pantheon is compared to Embers Adrift. But it's the same thing. You're going to get this slow burn. And where's Embers now? They're 2 years in after release. They're still developing game. Like the game is still not done. They really should have done some sort of early access or, whatever they wanted to call it, but they couldn't. They didn't have the money. Pantheon at least has some money. And now that they've trimmed down 3/4 of their dev team, they've got a little bit extra breathing room, but they've never had money, just like Embers. Neither team has ever had money. So they're just kind of, stumbling along, if you will.
And the three of us wanted Embers to succeed. We wanted
two of us more
win.
Than the third, but yeah.
Hey, look, I wanted it to win. I still wanted it to win. I love those guys. But it didn't. It didn't work because and we use magic is the excuse.
It is the excuse. I agree with that.
That everyone uses when what the real problem is the game is not developed enough. And there's not enough content, there's not enough development, and it wasn't good enough to release. That was the actual problem. Magic is just the word that we use to say that.
Embers Adrift didn't have content up to 50. Pantheon doesn't have content up to 50, right? Like we are literally in the same spot.
I bet if you counted the mobs, although I would, and no offense to the Embers Adrift team, I love you guys, but no offense to them, but Pantheon's mobs right now are way cooler. Okay, we can.
I mean,
we
Hal
can
Nears
agree.
alone has way cooler stuff in there than
just Hal Nears alone is cooler than Embers, especially at launch, where it was like a hunting simulator. You were just fighting animals, and but I bet you that if you did the math on how many creatures were in the game in Embers release versus how many creatures are in Pantheon release, I bet that would be similar. I bet there'd be a lot of similarities if we actually just broke it down how many zones are available, et cetera. Now, thankfully, though, in Pantheon's favor is that the content in Pantheon it's tighter,
I would agree with that 100%.
the lore is
it's
greater.
much tighter. The lore is greater. It's got fantasy roots. Yeah. It's got cool things that we all love. So it's definitely going to release a much bigger burst
for sure
than Embers. And there's going to be tons more people come try because they know about it. And also because of it's got the classic things you want out of an MMO. But that's not good for Visionary Realms, in my opinion, because it's just going to tarnish their reputation. I'm glad they're doing it 100% because I'm ready for it. And I want this project to move forward.
Yeah, I want to see a lot of people in the game. I want to have the world living and breathing. Groups. Yeah, bring on the pugs.
And I hope I'm the crazy one. And this whole thing, calling it early access, doesn't resonate the same way with the majority of people as it does with me.
How could it not?
No, I know that it does. I know that it does.
Here's another thing that Joppa said, going off the slow burn comment, that really, oh, dude, my heart just sank when he said this. He said, quote, that Pantheon is not a AAA game, not just with graphics, but in every way. So no big release, no big marketing, no like exciting like boom, we're entering the market type moment. That's not going to happen. It's going to slow burn its way all the way through to, I guess, there's not even going to be a release. It's just going to be a burn of development until I guess they release an expansion pack. I don't know, but like, and that just that makes my heart hurt because I like releases, and I don't think you need to be AAA to have a release.
You don't. And when he said that, it was after I had made the comment in my video where I said the whole thing about Brad McQuaid and his past mistakes, and I was wanting this game to release like a AAA game. And what I meant by that was the game is out and it's there, and here it is, and here's what we've made. Now, what do you think of this? Not what do you think about what we got so far? That's different. That's a totally different vibe.
The people that have been following Pantheon for more than the last 9 months need a win. We want to rub our win in the noses of every Ashes of Creation fuck that has ever rubbed their game in our face.
We waited 9 years for the moment.
We want the moment.
We're willing to wait 4 more years. We're willing to wait 4 or 5 more years. We really were, just to have the moment to be like,
Nathan and I have answered thousands of people in our YouTube comments of, this sucks. These graphics are awful. This is a mobile game.
This has been in development for 8 years. I can't believe that these graphics are so terrible.
Vaporware.
This is not even a real game. It's never coming out.
We so desperately want this to work,
and we want to win, and we want early access to be a win. Like, we're not hating. We just want to win. We want what we want, and we've been here for a long time and want that win. So the fact, you're right, Jack. The fact that they're not going to have some sort of huge launch is disheartening, because we want to go nanny boo boo, stick your head in doo Ashes of Creation, and have the greatest MMO ever created. That's what, we're a little psycho for being here this long and for thinking that that's what's going to happen out of this indie team. Maybe we should pull the reins back a little bit. People can only do so much. So maybe it's not going to be this AAA game. So, and we need to get ourselves in perspective. But damn, we wanted that release. We wanted to just shove it in Narc's face.
Yeah, man, and honestly, Pantheon could have done a big release. Like they could have. Enough people know about it that people would have known it was out. It's not like Embers Adrift or even Monsters and Memories does not have anywhere near, nor do I think it ever will, the kind of attention that Pantheon has because of Brad McQuaid, because of all the things that's happened. People know about it, man. It would have if they'd have just moved through beta, alpha, and then release, dude, the amount of people who would have known the day of Pantheon's release, it would have been a hot topic and it would have gotten a ton of people in. It would have.
Right. And here's the thing too, and this is like for the people that are like, well, I don't understand why you're poo-pooing it. We're trying not to poo-poo it. We're just nervous because
we've been pooped on
understand
for so long.
I don't understand why can't we get Pantheon in the state that Joppa wants it for early access and then give us a date for the release of early access.
True.
Why can't we have Darkmere and halflings and 6 zones and 10 classes to 40 and all this stuff done? Why can't it be done in stone? This is where we want it. And then we go to early access.
Yeah, let us make sure it all works properly.
Yeah, make sure it all works. Make sure it's all good. Like, I would have been excited for that, even if you called it early access, if it was all done. But we're talking about maybe hitting a date that may or may not happen.
We still don't know.
And then you're going to so you're either going to push the date or you're going to release it in something, and you're going to slack on some of the stuff that you said. And then it's not going to feel great. So I would have preferred set your goal, complete it. I think all those goals are great that they've laid out. I would have just preferred them to been complete and then say, you know what? We're releasing early access next month on the 12th. Set your calendars. Let's go.
Yeah.
Then the horns everywhere. You can hear them all across the world. Pantheon players unite. We would have been lighting
the towers of Rohan
wonderful.
Everywhere.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Rohan will help Gondor. It will happen. That's what I want. I want the Rohirrim to show up to the Horn of Gondor, right? Let's ring them bells. Let's tell all those Ashes people, guess what? We're releasing. Guess what, Star Citizen? You didn't have to buy a $10,000 spaceship to play this game. Here we go. Best MMO ever. Boom. Get out of my face. Not vaporware, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. This can't be a 3-hour podcast about
it is.
Nathan.
It already is.
So we're going to give Nathan the last word, Dymlos, and we're going to let him put a bow on this thing. What do you got to say to give us the positive spin, Nathan?
The positive spin is that us as players and the people who love Pantheon already, and I believe a decent amount of people who've never played Pantheon are going to hop into early access. We're going to have a great time. Even, no matter what, like there's going to be enough new content that it's going to be super fun. Pantheon is already a super fun game as it is. It's going to open it up to lots of new people. And even though it could have released in a way that it would have been a little more positive with more people, it's definitely there's going to be some people come in and play it and they're going to love it and they're going to fall in love with the gameplay loop and with the world and with the classes and everything. So it's going to be a good time and it will feel like a celebration regardless, because it's just going to be awesome for us players. I mean, we're going to have a blast.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Nathan, for being the paladin of the Pantheon needs and always will have.
And now it's time for Joppa Says, because everything that Joppa says is gold.
More like a grain of salt.
Well, we're going to cover a little bit of Pantheon news as well. We do have a little bit of a backlog. I was out of town.
A little bit. Oh my God. There are 7 streams that we've missed that have happened. A whole class came out.
Yep, a whole class came out. So we are going to talk about that class, a little Necromancer action. Nathan, have you gotten a chance to play a little Necromancer?
No, I have not, but I've watched quite a bit of it.
Well, it's necro-horrific. You're not really missing much.
So I'm just going to kind of go over a bit of an overview of the Necromancer, and then I'm going to let you guys kind of comment on it. I feel like the Necromancer is extremely like close to the EverQuest Necromancer. Like it's like some of the Pantheon classes are like, it's kind of like the EverQuest class. The Necromancer is like close to a straight ripoff, which is fine. It's totally fine, but like it's really close. Pantheon is calling the Necromancer a support class, not a DPS class, heralding to the Necro in its early phase, whereas later on in EverQuest it kind of went into a DPS class. Necromancers do curse damage, disease damage, and fire damage. Necromancers have skeleton pets. They're not as tanky or as maybe even do as much DPS. We don't really know about that yet, but they're not as tanky as summoner pets. But in the very later levels, the skeletons can be a tank pet, a rogue pet, or a mage pet.
Gosh, that sounds so familiar.
Of course, they get the... Yes, it does. They get their trademark darkness, which is a dot that also slows. They also get other damage dots with various types of fire, disease, and curse damage. You get a fear. You get 3 types of fear. You get fear that's like the mob runs away. You get fear as in like a mez where they cower in place. And you get a fear undead. Which, and the cower in place, the mezzing for a Necromancer is going to be a channel. So you're only going to kind of be able to theoretically mez one mob at a time.
Okay.
Also, Necros are the king of transferring stuff. So they can transfer mana, they can transfer health, and they can transfer stats to other players. Of course, we have Charm Undead. Of course, we have Feign Death. We have Lich Form, which, if you don't know, Lich Form is from EverQuest. That's where you put yourself in a Lich form. You typically change into some kind of illusion of a Lich, where you're constantly dealing damage to yourself that may or may not kill you, and you get greater mana regeneration. And you, of course, need lots of bone chips. And Joppa also mentioned that you get to summon corpses at some point. So what do you guys think about that for a Necromancer class?
So you've literally just spelled out the EQ Necromancer with no difference.
Yeah. Which I'm okay
guess,
with.
But if you're going to say that's a support class, like, didn't we say that this is going to be selfish? Or what did they say? Selfish damage?
Selfish DPS.
Selfish DPS? There's nothing selfish. You're giving stuff. You're unselfish. You're unselfish DPS.
Unselfish.
Yeah, that sounds very unselfish. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it, but definitely a very caring Necro helping everybody out.
I think sometimes they get trapped in words, and I don't know where selfish DPS came from, but I would agree with you guys that this list of spells and skills that Joppa has listed out for us, there's not a lot that's selfish. Other than the dots, I guess. Just the regular dots.
But you're doing damage.
Yeah.
So you're no longer, doing crowd control or anything like that. You're just doing damage. Yeah. This is literally the summoner, except the summoner still sucks. The summoner needs a lot of help.
It needs some love.
Yeah, like there's supposed to be a DPS class, and this is supposed to be a support class. We've got this flipped around. There's something very, very flipped around here between these two classes. And
you know what? You're right. They could totally be flipped around. The summoner really is more supporty, and the Necromancer right now is more DPS-y. Maybe they should just flip them.
And they're trying to get away from the EverQuest trope. That's fine. But then you totally just made 2 classes that were EverQuest. Okay.
Yeah. Which, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say what everybody's thinking. What everybody's been saying for this whole past 9 years. Just do it. Just rip it off of EverQuest, dude. Just do it. Just do it. And, let's get it going, because why not? They were good. There were some that weren't. Fix those, okay? You're going to have to work on the bard, too. The bard can't be like that, okay? It's annoying to everybody but the bard, okay? Let's be like,
Bards
sorry,
love
bard
bards.
lovers. I know there's a ton of you. I know there's tons of you, but the bard cannot be like the EverQuest bard. They are so annoying for everybody else.
No one likes it when you train the entire zone around in a little
Right.
circle, okay? No one likes
Yes, and you're just trying to pull your couple of mobs, and here comes the stupid bard in every dungeon you want to go. Oh my gosh! Sorry, bard lovers, but you know you're annoying. You know.
That's hilarious. Not even close. Like Pantheon is crushing the paladin, and EverQuest failed the Pantheon. Failed the paladin.
I wasn't even a fan of paladin at that time. I didn't even. That didn't.
Yeah, it did not get good until 6 years into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back when I played EverQuest, I was a warrior.
And the paladin, it was not only horrible, but they also kicked you in the nuts.
Yeah.
Because you had to get extra XP. Like
Hybrid.
you had to get more XP to level because you were a hybrid class, but you were worse.
Yeah, you're not. It's not like it's not like you really were like you earned it and now you're powerful. Like, no, you still kind of
The only way they made
it
it back up to him was that they gave him that sweet sword. No one else had the Fiery Avenger but the Paladin. That was literally the only reason to be a Paladin is for that sword. And it certainly didn't make up for you being a terrible, terrible class for 6 to 8 years. They didn't touch the Paladin. It was just crappy for a very long time. But anyway, back to that. Yeah. So let's if we're just gonna make this the necromancer of old, let's just get our words straight. Where in any of this that you listed off, Draq, is anything support other than the mezzing, the channeled mez? Because no one wants a fear in a dungeon. Fear is great for outside, but it's going to be this mez.
I think the transferring of mana, health, and stats is what they're considering to be the support class.
Transfer some mana, okay. It's going to be minimal. And if they do it better than the enchanter, then the enchanters are going to bitch. And rightfully so, because that's what they do.
Yeah.
Everything else is DPS. Everything else. Feign Death, that's not DPS, but that's a necro. Yeah. Everything else is just EverQuest necro. So I really would like to see the necro be a support, because EverQuest necro did a little support. It did this mez thing. It did, but it also just then became DPS. Like they went away from it, which it looks like they're kind of going away from it here too. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. It's literally just EQ necro, which is fine, I guess.
Moving on. Guilds are in Pantheon. We've waited a long time for guilds. And so we got some guilds. Not the most snazzy thing in the whole world. Basically, you could just create a guild and then
start.
Talk in your guild. That's all you can do.
That's it.
Can we just say, though,
it's a start.
And maybe this is a little thing, and maybe I'm just like, but I feel like we've gone backwards. I have to type out /guild to talk.
I'm sure they'll change that, but yeah, you're right.
That is so freaking annoying. Like /GU. Come on, get with it.
Yeah, they'll get it. They'll get that in there for sure.
Okay, guilds are in, and all it is just a tag. You can't look up to see who in your guild is on. You can't see what their levels are. You can't, there's not a tab in the who all thing. That's all they had to do was just put a tab and it'd be fine and it'd be good. Nope. Just a tag. It's literally just a tag. And I guess that's good. That's a step in the right direction. You're right, Nathan. But
here's what I think's happening here. They're building the tools they need for the guild. Okay. And right now, this is the first step, and then all these tools they're designed on the back end are going to come into play, and it's going to be awesome.
That Nathan Napalm, he's the most negative Pantheon guy I've ever heard of.
Most negative content creator I've ever seen.
Yeah, all he does is create negative Pantheon content.
Yeah. I know, I'm so negative. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Well, they're also working on death and reses and how they're going to figure that out, which we have seen a large variance of different ways they're trying to do this. Currently, the plan, or Joppa's new plan, I should say, is that corpses are now not going to be your body. So no more writing curse words in the ground with your corpses. We know who you are, people. And it's gonna drop a skeleton, just a place marker with your name on it.
That's cool.
I think that's a great idea.
I like that. I like skeletons dropping.
And you're only going to be able to have 10 corpses per zone. Not just like, dang, that's a bad day if you have 10 corpses in a zone. And once you get the 11th corpse, it's not going to disappear. Or it's not, I shouldn't say it's not going to disappear. It's not going to go away. It's just going to not be visible. So you have to loot or res the other 10 corpses, and then that one becomes visible. And also, hey, they're adding Hide Corpse back into the game. That's exciting. I like Hide Corpse.
Although I never use it. I always like seeing the corpses. That's kind of a little weird. Like, it's a warning.
I like to play the game with my chat where I don't hide any corpses and see how long I can go playing EverQuest before they can't take it. Yeah, before they get pissed. Like if someone just says it casually, I'll ignore it. If they're like, "Hey man, do you know about Hide Corpse?" I'll ignore that comment. I'm waiting for somebody to come in and be like, "For the love of God!" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, let me go ahead and hide those corpses for you." It's a good game. It's a good game for a streamer.
Just a couple things left. We got Spell Fizzle. And Spell Fizzle not being like when a mob hits you and you fail, but just you fail for no reason other than you fizzled.
I do. It adds that variety of whoopsie. That didn't go as planned.
So I definitely know that the people, the MMO people, our community in general of all MMOs ever are very torn on this because I live it every day in EverQuest 2. So they, in EverQuest 2, the current state of EQ2 is that fizzling is gone. You cannot fizzle anything. But on Origins, they put the fizzles back in. And so all I hear is bitching about fizzling, though it's what we wanted. That was one of the biggest things that people wanted in Origins. Oh, God, we're going to be able to fizzle again. That's awesome. But all they ever do is bitch about fizzling. You can fizzle your mana stone. You can fizzle everything. Anything you can click that even is not a spell, you can fizzle. And people hate it. So like, do we really want this? Because people are just going to bitch about it for forever. Here we are 20 years later of EverQuest 2. And we put it back in after it being gone for a decade, more than a decade. And all we can do is bitch about it, even though it's what we wanted. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I personally like it. It does not bother me when I fizzle. I just click the button again. Or push the keyboard button technically, because I'm not a filthy clicker like you two. But
whoa,
I'm not a clicker.
You are defaming
I'm
me. I'm not a clicker.
Just kidding. But we definitely know a lot of clickers out there. That's for sure. But yeah, I'll just push the button again. No big deal. So it doesn't bother me, but it bothers a lot of people. Where do you draw the line? So I don't know. Should we put fizzling in Pantheon? I'm not sure. A lot of people are going to hate it. A lot of people are going to want it and then hate it.
I think it belongs. Even if they take it out later. You gotta have it.
Joppa doesn't know yet, so I guess we'll find out.
As with most things, TBD.
Last but not least, Joppa's going to add surnames in the game at level 20. Very EverQuestian. Excited about surnames?
Nathan, go ahead.
Heck yeah, I am. I love surnames, dude. It's a simple thing that you kind of, as you're leveling up, it's a little prestige to have that last name. You know what I'm saying? Sure.
Badge of honor.
It's a little something. Yeah, it's almost like a make your own title.
Yeah.
You know?
The problem is, and I know we're getting to this, is that they still have names that are all in uppercase or can have some sort of funkiness to them. And so we're putting the horse before the cart, if you will. I don't know how that old phrase works, but like, let's fix the stuff so that the first names look like names before we start doing surnames. Are we going to be able to have them in all capitals? Is that just how it's going to go in? Like, I don't know. It's just we're adding.
I think they're going to be able to fix that. That's got to be easy,
Yeah.
right? I think that's fixable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still not fixed.
Steve Clover could fix that. He could fix that
it.
in no time. He just hasn't thought about it yet.
They're all too busy. I just
work on them 6 zones, dude.
Get them races
and
in there.
animations.
Dark Murk.
But so this is the point though. Like, why is this what we're talking about? We've got 6 zones to put in. We've got 1,000 races to put in. But a surname is on the top of the list. I get we're dropping little beans and we needed to give beans to the people.
It's easy. It's easy probably for them.
It's not.
You know,
Guild
it's cool.
stuff was easy for them and it took them 9 years.
Don't be bitter, Dymlos.
I can't help it. I'm such a bitter.
That's because they were making other stuff to do with the guilds the whole time. They didn't want us to sit around just with guild chat for a long time. They wanted to, have some backfill ready that was pretty close to being done so it would feel impactful. Like, yeah, first we get guilds, then we get whatever,
Oh, that's our paladin. That's our Pantheon paladin there.
There you go. I'm Draq Attack. Stand by for MMO news.
Now you're nooshin' it.
So, as of the day of this recording, and just not long that you're watching and listening to this, I should say, Throne and Liberty.
Hills and
has
Tribes,
launched.
yeah!
Hills and Tribes.
We've talked about it, we've joked about it. It's here, and it's getting pretty good reception so far.
People are saying this is Amazon's redemption. I can't believe I am reading those 2 words together.
It kind of is, dude. Not just them. Look, when the game's coming on, right, and it's like that cutscene showing the world, and it's all like, "This is MMO. This could be cool." It's showing the little cutscene. It literally says NCSoft and Amazon Games together, and you're like, "Wow, what a combo! This is gonna be bad." And then you know what? It's not a bad game. It's not bad at all.
Well,
Dude,
that's great.
I tried the last test that they did, and I was not impressed. But I've been watching you stream it, the early access.
Yeah,
early access. What?
And
it's
looks
actual
fun.
early access.
I think I'm gonna have to give it another shot,
dude. And they did some very minute changes between the last test to now, and I only know this, even though I played the test, I was out of surgery, so I don't even remember playing it. But I read about it. Okay, there's some minute changes that don't seem like a big deal, but are, like the classes that wasn't in the game during it. Now it is. Now we got classes. Some small combat changes that made the combat a little bit better. So they did some changes, and I don't know, man. It feels like a typical modern MMO until you start getting to the public dungeons and all that. Then you're like, wow, this is pretty freaking cool.
Is it, just for my own curiosity, is it still 6-person groups?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to try it. We're gonna have to.
It's pretty fun.
6-person groups.
Pretty fun.
Is that a real MMO? What?
Draq, pick classic mode. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to go ahead and tell everybody listening, you're going to have the option at the beginning, classic mode or action mode. Pick classic mode. I promise.
You know what? I think when I did the last test, I don't think that was an option. I think it was.
It wasn't. I don't think it was. Yeah. It was only action. Yep. Now it doesn't. Now it just feels like a PC MMO, and it's not bad. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna be like, well, I don't care about Pantheon now. I got Throne and Liberty. It's not that good. Okay.
Now. We're just change the hats and the shirts.
Take all my money, Amazon.
But hey, I will say this: I always used to, during my downtime, go down to my little couch down in the living room, up on my big screen, play a console game to relax till I go to sleep, and that was ESO time most of the time because that was the best. Console MMO I was aware of. Not anymore, man. Completely replaced. Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty is my definite. I'm relaxing and I'm downstairs on my big screen game now.
Very nice. Very nice. I just, 2 years ago, Dymlos, when when this game and Blue Protocol were what was on the horizon,
Yeah.
And we were all in for Blue Protocol.
Me
and
too.
Throne and Liberty was just literally hills and tribes.
Yeah.
Like it was so under the radar, so not in our realm of possibilities that we didn't even call it by the right name. And here we are 2 years later, and we're all about to jump into Throne and Liberty, and Blue Protocol isn't even going to get a release. This is what world are we living in? This is the
so
darkest
sad.
timeline.
It's so sad, dude.
Doctor Strange,
sad.
give us a different option, Doctor Strange.
I just warp me to where this is the opposite, and I'm playing Blue Protocol right now.
You know what the funniest comment to the announcement of Blue Protocol closing I seen was?
What?
Somebody said, "Oh well, I guess I'll just go back to playing Final Fantasy 14." Because the weebs got nothing, dude. They got nothing.
Poor weebs.
They're suffering out here, dude.
They don't deserve this. They don't.
Our main weeb, Tetsu. Somewhere Tetsu is weeping.
Oh,
Somewhere
yeah.
Tetsu
True.
is very sad.
True.
I bet that he broke his heart. Like he's probably still crying in his bathtub somewhere. Just
We
kidding,
love you,
Tetsu.
Tetsu.
We love you.
We love you. We love you. We miss you. You need to come back.
Top five. We got an exciting top five this week. Of course, I slaughter Dymlos every week with my amazing top fives.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Here
boy.
we go.
Oh, boy.
I'm pretty sure, I'm looking at your list right now, and I don't want to spoil it, but I'm pretty sure that some of these are not even board games.
If they are,
What
I
are you
didn't know
talking
about
about?
it.
Every
There's
single
one
one
in
of
there.
those.
Okay, I can't wait to hear about one of them.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear about 3 of these. No, it's 2 of them. Just 2 of them.
All mine are gold star winners, okay? Oh, gold
All right.
star.
All right. Well, so Nathan, if you don't know, we just go round robin. So we'll go Draq, myself, and then you. We do 5, and then we'll all do 4, and then we'll all do 3. And,
Oh, nice.
yeah. And then the other lists are our Patreon members that pay us buku dollars to be a part of this show and have Dymlos shit all over their lists for a solid 15 minutes. So that's what we do here in the last part of the show. It's literally the best part of the show. Like everything else that we've already done is just the gravy. This is
Right.
this is the real part of the show.
This
is
is
the
why
meat.
people tune in right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Drac, start with your number 5.
Number 5, a classic. One of the best movies of all time. One of my favorites, Clue. I love Clue. It's
Great
so much
game.
fun.
Gotta
I like-
agree.
Super great game.
I am the guy that doesn't have all the answers for sure, but still goes and guesses before
Does the
somebody
accusation.
else does the accusation before the other guy can get it. So like somebody else will know, and I'll just go in a room and make an accusation just because I want to take a shot. So love
Yeah.
Clue.
It's fun. Good times.
Yeah, for sure. I love this pick for you, Drac. It definitely is an honorable mention for me. It's not on my list because my list is far superior to yours. I don't use basic games like Clue. This is like a kid's game. That's fine.
Wow.
If your board games are all little baby kid board games, then that's fine.
Wow.
But this goes in the realm of games that you can play with your 5-year-old, right? Like they can learn. But I love this game because, are you ready for this? I was in Clue the musical. We did.
Ooh.
Yeah. So one of our local theater places put on Clue the musical, and this is such a badass musical. The music is like not great to me. Like I thought when I first heard this music, I thought, okay, this was some music student in college who got drunk with his buddies, and they were sitting around like doing music major shit, which is stupid. And one drunk music major turned to the other music major who was also drunk and was like, "Bro, there's no way that you can write a musical about Clue the board game." And this dude was like, "Hold my beer," and wrote Clue the musical. And it turns out it was freaking phenomenal. So in this musical, the whole audience participates. So everyone gets a score sheet in the audience. And during the show, people come up at the very beginning of the show. The narrator sets it out, and people in the audience pick cards just like you would in the board game, and they go in the evidence folder. and sit on the stage. And that is who did it in what room with what weapon. And it changes every show that you perform. So whatever clues I give, because I was the narrator, I was Mr. Body. So my lines and what I did would change based on the cards that were drawn at the very beginning of the show. So I had to be ready to go anywhere with it, depending on what happened. It was so fun. I have played Beast and Beauty and the Beast, and that was a great role for me, but I still put Clue above this. Like, I loved being in this show. It was so good. So sorry for the tangent.
Listen,
Clue,
if you're going to have a theater story for every board
this
game,
is the only one. Well, maybe you're number one too, but yeah, Clue, I love. A lot of people in our rating party too love Clue, so I'm not going to poo-poo on that one. I actually do love Clue, but it is a little baby kids board game. So good job with your number 5. My number 5 is a little game called Shadows over Camelot. And for those that haven't played this game, you're going to see a theme with my board games, because 4 of the 5 of them are basically MMO board games. I love co-op games. I love co-op board games. They're all wonderful. And this is one of them. You and your fellow knights, you sit at the round table. You each play one of the knights. You can be King Arthur if you want to, but you can be Lancelot's child. I can't remember what his name is. You can be Percival. And each knight does something different. Like, you can get closer to your goal, so you all go out on missions, and you can either seek the Holy Grail, or you can fight the Saxtons or the Picts, so there's like different places on the board that your knight can go to, and sometimes a couple knights can go, and sometimes it's just one, but you set up and you fight whatever bad guys there, and of course there's a dragon that you can go slay, and that's awesome. And so I just really like co-op board games, and Shadows over Camelot. This is a fantasy world. We're all paladins. Like, how could I not love this game? So number 5, Shadows over Camelot.
I got something to say about this game.
Shadows over Camelot?
Yeah. Although I agree with you that it is a really cool game. All right. There's one problem I've always had with this game that I just cannot get over.
Please.
I just can't get over it, dude. I implore everyone listening. I just posted it for you guys to see. To take a look at the characters you can play as, okay? There's something really wrong here with that dwarf. Why is he so freaking tall? That dwarf.
He's not a dwarf. He's just a bearded dude that wields a mace.
Come on. They gave him red hair and that kind of beard, and that's not supposed to be a dwarf. They made that dwarf too tall.
No, he's a Celtic.
He's like a Viking.
All right. Well, that always bothered me. He looks like a dwarf, and he's too tall.
I'm glad that you found this picture. This is like the high quality ones. The ones that I played with are like shitty plastic. And,
yeah, there's also those.
Yeah. No, these are great. I love these. For those that are just listening, because no one's Draq.
I will have
Good job. Excellent.
I will technology this thing up.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
All
right, Nathan, you're number 5.
All right. Well, now Drax made me feel bad, or Dymlos made me feel bad about my number 5. But it doesn't matter, because this is a freaking classic, bro. And also, I'd like to mention before I start giving out my top 5 that I have kids, so all mine, I don't play board games except for with like either I'm drinking or I'm playing with my kids. So anyway, my number 5 is Battleship. I love it.
That's a great game. It's a great game.
So much fun.
So do you remember in Squid Games when they like did this? It's not even Squid Games itself. Yeah. It was the real life Squid Games.
Yeah.
They made him play
the Mr. Beast version, not the Mr. Beast version.
Yeah. They made him play this battleships game where it was real life battleships, and if you got bombed, you got booted out.
And it was intense. They were like crying and stuff.
Yeah, I love it. No, Battleship is great. Super classic game. I can't fault you for this one. You're right, though. I will shame you that it is a little baby game that you can play.
It is a baby game, but it's a good one. It's a really fun one.
Yeah,
it's a fun one.
Absolutely. All right, Draq. I'm very interested in your number 4.
All right, this is a little game called Star Trek Ascendancy. And so this is taking all the Star Trek universes and giving you little miniatures, and you also get to get little you create space, and so you have planets, and you get like little pathways to. It's kind of like a Master of Orion thing where you have pathways between planets and stuff, and you explore and you get all the different awesome Star Trek races, and every race gets different abilities, and it's very RPG-ish, and you roll dice for combat, and some races are like passive, and all they want to do is do technology and stuff, and then the humans are explorers, and the Klingons are volatile, and so depending on who's playing the game with you, it's like 3 to 6 people. You kind of get a strategy about what to do. It's a very fun game.
Okay, I just looked this up. I'm looking at the like a little bit of the board construction. It's not a board; it's like pieces that you put together.
Yeah,
it's totally fine. This is still a board game, so I'm shocked. I was gonna think that this was like some sort of mobile game that you were playing.
No, this is for realsies.
Yeah, it is. I looked it up too. I didn't know.
I'm gonna buy this game. You know I'm a huge Trekkie.
I know you are. I was
more
like,
of a
I can't believe
Trekkie.
you're gonna poo-poo this.
I can't now. This game looks freaking awesome. If it wasn't $77 at Amazon Prime right now, I'd probably go buy it now.
No. You got to get the $150 one, because that one has
God.
What's the race from Deep Space Nine? The money rate, or the money guy? What's the money race?
Quark is
Quark, yeah.
Ferengi. The
Ferengi, the expansion, the $150 expansion has the Ferengi in it, and they're the best ones.
I do love the Ferengi.
It's a lot of money to charge for a single race to be added to the game.
It's two. There's
Pantheon.
2 races. I forget what the last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about adding races to games.
Yeah.
We've not seen that happen yet.
Shots fired. Ka-choo, ka-choo.
Here, I thought it was just humans in the Star Trek world.
All right. Danger. Dymlos, you're number 4.
Number 4, another co-op board game. This is one I love to give this one out as a gift because it's like super easy to learn, and it's Last Night on Earth, the zombie game. And so this is like a cast of characters. Think of like the very first episode of The Walking Dead. It's like you're kind of thrown in there, except that you're all from the same town. It's like a small town. It's you just can explore different places. Like you can go to the police station to go get the guns. You can go to the gas station to go get fuel for your car. And there are different scenarios that you have to complete. So of course, one is they put a truck in the middle of the board and you have to go find gas. And how you do that is you go to these buildings and you search, and then you just draw cards and you get either weapons or some sort of thing to help you aid. But of course, zombies are coming at you the whole time. And there is one player that does play the zombies, 1 to 2 players that plays the zombies. And so you have your heroes and they're, picking up guns and killing zombies or, whatever the case may be. This is such a fun game. And it can go either way. It's not like games where it's biased towards one or the other. The zombies can certainly win and the humans can certainly win just as much. So, but this is a game I love to give out as like Christmas presents. It's like $40 to $50. You can buy expansions on top of that if you want more characters, things like that. But yeah, Last Night on Earth, the zombie game. So fun. So fun. Great for the family when they're older than 5.
Sounds good.
It looks kind of like Gloomhaven to me.
Yeah.
Like a precursor to Gloomhaven.
Yep. Like I said, 4 of the 5 of my choices are co-op MMO board games. That's what I like to play the most.
Nice. Nathan?
All right, I swear I'm going to get nerdy here in a second. But first, I love this game.
Yeah.
Cranium. It's so much fun, dude.
Absolutely.
I love Cranium. It's a good time.
Party games are a great time.
That's the game that my wife goes to when she wants to torture me is Cranium.
You got the Play-Doh. You got the drawing. You got the acting.
Geez.
Oh, it's so much fun.
For as creative as Draq is, and secretly he is, like deep down, he does have some creativity to him. He just doesn't like to show it or do it. Like it's a lot of work for him. It's kind of like doing small talk for me. Like I can do it. I'm pretty good at it. I just don't want to because it drains me. That's how Draq is with this game. He doesn't want to Play-Doh anything. I don't want to draw anything. I just want to play video games. And
He doesn't want to use his teammate as a puppet.
Yeah.
You have to do that. You have to do that in that game.
Yeah. No, great game. Super great party game, especially if you're drunk.
Yeah. That's most of my experience. Yes.
Perfect. Draq, number 3.
Little game called Stock Market.
Oh boy.
Okay, hold on. Before you get, is this a real board game, or are you talking about the actual stock market?
That's what I want to know.
This is a real board game published in 1963 by the Whitman Publishing Rare Board Game.
Yes, I do remember this game. Okay.
This is a great game because you roll dice, and then as you roll dice, you move. It's kind of like Monopoly. You roll dice, you move your character around the board, and then as you move and land on spaces, you have a little slider in the middle, and it moves the prices of stocks up and down. And depending on which stocks you buy into, they're either getting more cheap or more expensive. So you buy the stock, and the idea is that you buy the stock when it's low and then sell it when it's high. And then if you hit special squares on the board, you get to go in and double or triple or get dividends or all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's a super fun game. And of course, me, the money guy, of course love stock market.
Yeah. This is like Monopoly for people that don't want to play Monopoly but want to win all the money.
All the money. Yeah, 100%. It's better than Monopoly.
I actually agree with you on this because Monopoly is a terrible game, but in general. But yeah, no, I've definitely played this before. It's been a long time, been a while, but it's a great game for sure. Good pick, Draq. Good pick.
Yeah. See, you doubted, but now you know
definitely
the brilliance.
did doubt.
I was doubting that one.
You knew the brilliance.
Well, on to my number 3. I have chosen this is just the version of this game that I like the most, but you've probably heard of the Betrayal game. So like the classic one is Betrayal on Haunted Hill, but this is the Dungeons and Dragons spinoff, Betrayal at Baldur's Gate.
It's good.
But this game, you set up the pieces, you roll, you explore, you're working together as a team, and then something happens, and we find out there could potentially be someone that betrays or not.
That's a great game, by the way.
Thank you.
Once again, mostly play with family. So I'm going with a game that is nerdy, but also anybody can play and have fun and enjoy it. And that is Munchkin and all the expansions that you can do to make that game even better.
A bunch of them.
It's
Munchkin is super solid.
Is this technically a board game or is it a card game?
Yeah, I kind of thought it was a card game too. That's why I didn't even consider that one.
Just giving you a hard time, Nathan.
Well,
it's totally
guess
fine.
what?
That's all right. You know what? You get guest privileges. You can say whatever you want here.
Here's the thing. I just Googled it, and it does show as a board game on BoardGameGeek.com. So,
sure.
I'm going to get away with it.
Yep. No. You're the guest. You can say whatever you want. But if any of these other raid plebs have a card game in their thing when we go to review them,
they're done.
Then you better believe there better be an actual physical board or some board you lay out in those games, so they're going to get railed. But you, Nathan, as the guest, great pick. Number 3, Munchkin, great pick. Draq, number 2.
Speaking of great picks, Settlers of Catan.
I
love Settlers.
It's good.
It's so good. I love raking people across the coals, trading and just screwing people over royally and blocking people and just being completely evil. My wife won't even play Settlers of Catan with me. She's just like, for the sake of our marriage, we.
That's when you know it's a good game.
Yeah, man.
When friendships have ended over a game, that's when you know it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I can't speak highly enough of this, so much so that it is also my number 2, Settlers of Catan. Great pick, Draq. Just absolutely stellar pick. I love that this game is so unbelievably cutthroat that you have to even go to the point of like, you can't even be wishy-washy about what you're saying. Like, I have sheep looking for wood. Or I have wood looking for sheep. That's gross. That's so gross. But it's because when you're building your strategy, if someone's willy-nilly about it, I just get so irritated because I'm trying to win, right? Like you're bothering me with your trading while I'm trying to win. So if you go about and say, got some, how do people even phrase this stuff? I've played it so correctly for so long that I can't even remember how people like looking for wood, got some of this, got some of this. Well, what are you trading? Tell me exactly what you want, and then I will let you know. Don't be wishy-washy about it. I need specifics, because if you're irritating me while I'm trying to beat you, then our friendship's going to be over. That's just it's cutthroat. It's cutthroat Catan. That's how I play Settlers of
Cutthroat
Catan.
Catan.
Yep.
Number 2, Nathan.
My number 2 is a classic, Gloomhaven. Love it.
Very solid. Very solid.
So much fun. It's not, it's a game that doesn't, it's not usually that long of a session. And, there's always, it feels like every game's different. I like the personal goals. And sometimes it's all about, it's all about working towards that personal goal. So in some games, everybody's really into that. Other times everybody's kind of focused on the main objective, but I just feel like it's just a great experience every time.
Every time. No
every
doubt.
single time.
Really
Love
good.
it. Great pick. Super great pick. Draq, number 1. Show
Number
us
one,
where
number
the way is at.
Axis and allies. If you're looking for a solid 6 hours of World War II awesomeness, Axis and Allies is your game. And you know what I like most about Axis and Allies is that I can play any of the nations and I can win. Like, I know how to win as the United States. I know how to win as Great Britain. I know how to win as Russia. I know how to win as Japan. I know how to win as, every
Germany.
single country.
Are you just not mentioning Germany?
Germany. I'm sorry.
We don't.
I know how to win as Germany. Germany is the easiest one to win. Build tanks, move in.
Yeah. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Pretty self-explanatory. But you can, there's different strategies. In different games, there's more than one way to win.
Unless you're Russia, there's only one strategy.
Well, there's one strategy. But there's so many different ways to win that game. There's so many different ways you can do it. And you really have to react to what everybody else is doing. So if they go one way, you have to react to it. And I just love the complex strategy that Axis and Allies gives you.
Okay, so this would absolutely be on my list, but I didn't want to degrade your number 1, because it's probably like my number 5.
Right.
But I didn't want to list it too early because I knew you had it as number 1. And I was like, that's such a great game. I don't want to take away from it.
So many.
We played so much Axis and Allies.
You did.
Oh,
in college, it was so.
We
much.
played as much Axis and Allies as we did Super Smash Brothers on 64. We played so much Axis and Allies. Such a good game.
Oh wow!
Oh, love that board game so much. We used to describe it as Risk on Crack. That's what we tell people to get to play with us.
I still describe it as Risk on Crack.
That's exactly what it is. Oh, and it's so good. And the new iterations that they've done, they've really updated. Because honestly, Draq, I know you said you know how to win as each one, and you're right. The old strategies are the same, but it always was about 60-40. The allies would win 60% of the time, and the Axis would win 40% of the time. And it's so much harder to win as the Axis, but you can do it. But the cards are not in your favor. The new iterations of the game, it is a 50-50 split. You can either way, either team can win. So you're not, feeling bad. Oh, I got Japan, which is actually my favorite of the
I really like
old
Japan
school
too.
ones to play. Because they're the most versatile. You can do, if you want to do Pearl Harbor, you can. You don't have to. You can just go and beat up Russia and do a little backdoor gangbang with Germany, and it's totally fine. Totally fine. I love that game, Draq. That's a great pick. Okay, so Nathan, did you ever play Axis and Allies?
No, not played that one. I played the other one. What's the more popular version of that? Were you Risk? I played Risk.
Oh my goodness,
that's super boring.
Boring.
Risk sucks compared to Axis.
I'm
and
not
Allies.
a huge fan of Risk, but it's okay.
Yeah, right. Axis and Allies takes it to the 10 millionth degree. Like it's not even comparison. I know that it's world domination and that's how it's compared, but it is not even close. Risk is boring. Axis and Allies is amazing.
The only drawback to Axis and Allies is you need about 6 hours.
You do need about 6 hours. So Risk is very similar. You need about 3 hours to play Risk. So it's the problem is the setup. The setup takes forever.
The setup is definitely an hour.
Yeah, if that's really what brings it down. But yeah, no, great game, Draq. I'm glad you picked it as number one. I'm glad it has representation on this list because it belongs there. It's a great game. My number one is Nathan's number two, Gloomhaven.
It's great.
Forgive me for not talking about this more when you picked it for number two, but it's my number one, so I wanted to talk about it here. This is Dungeons and Dragons. This is literally Dungeons and Dragons RPG tabletop board game. Of course, it's the greatest board game of all because tabletop RPGs are the greatest games of all time. So this is just to the next level. You have different characters that you can play. They all have different levels. They do different skills. This Gloomhaven, I know EverQuest people are going to hate me for saying this. Gloomhaven has the best bard. It's not EverQuest anymore. It's Gloomhaven. They have the best bard.
Bold statement.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. This is.
Tell me how much you hate Dymlos in the comments about his comments about.
Please, you're wrong. You clearly have not played the Gloomhaven bard. Now, that being said, that's super powerful the more people you have playing with it. So if you're only playing a 2-person campaign, don't pick the bard. You're not going to win. But if you're playing a 4-person campaign, the bard is OP. Like, it's broken. It's so good with 4 total people, the maximum amount of people you can play in the game. But yeah, the setup on this game is ridiculous. The amount of pieces that it comes with. How much does that board game cost? It's like $150, $200. It's ridiculous because it comes with a book, an instruction booklet that's as big as an encyclopedia. It's unbelievable. Love this game. Super great pick. Nathan, I'm glad you put it as number 2. I feel good about this. But yeah, number 1, Gloomhaven. Nathan.
Now, I just want to say that it was kind of hard for me to decide between my pick for number 1 and Gloomhaven as well. And the only reason I picked this one is because of the simplicity. It's a little bit more simple to just pick up and play. Because my problem is I don't live around nerds. I don't have any nerd friends near me. So if I play a nerdy game, I need it to be easier. It's just annoying to have to explain everything to everybody all the time. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's the reason in my personal life, I'm going to go with my number 1 pick of One Deck Dungeon. It's got the nerdiness, but it's simpler. It's random as hell. You could seriously just suck really bad right at the beginning of the game, or you could be freaking awesome. And I think it's a lot of fun. Once again, all my selections are based off of my experiences with my family.
That's okay.
So this is a really fun game if you got some young kids. You got your nephews or your children or whatever it is, and it's just One Deck is fun. I love it.
I've never heard of that. I'm gonna have to check it out.
It's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. I love it.
And the deck determines what path you go, and
yeah. Well, I think the reason it has that name is because the dungeon itself is all cards. So
okay, gotcha. And you lay them out. That's why it's called that. Sort of succession.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that out. This is like last show we did sitcoms, and Annoying Llama picked Video Game High School. Have you ever heard of that show?
No.
Exactly. So, Llama, I'm still going to check it out. I haven't had time yet, but it's still on my radar. But this is the same thing. Like, I've not heard of this game, so I'm going to have to go check it out and play it.
Learning opportunity.
Yeah.
Anyone
that's willing to pick something number 1. Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of learning, we definitely need to educate some of our raid party participants because there's some losers in their lists.
Well, let's yeah. So we love our raid party. Thank you for your support every week. We are so thankful that you like to be a part of the show with us, that you appreciate me poo-pooing on your lists for how bad they are. I guess it depends on what list it is. Sometimes the lists are everything's good, so you can't poo-poo on it. But this week, yeah, no, these are some real stinkers. So we'll start off with Screech right off the bat in his number 5 Monopoly, worst game of all time. This is the worst board game in the history of board games. And maybe I hate on it because it's like your first board game ever. It's the game that starts
everybody
all
has
board
and pulls out.
Well, hang on though. Are you guys sure? Was this written out or was this verbally communicated? Maybe he thought you meant bored, like BORED game.
You are certainly bored.
If so, I agree. That should be number 1, maybe.
So I'm glad we started out with this because, and I'm glad that we all agree that Monopoly is such a terrible game. But it was Zip's number 2 and Llama's number 1.
Annoying llama.
What?
No.
You clearly
llama.
have never played a board game in your life. If
like
your number
troll.
1 is Monopoly.
Ouch. Oh my goodness. Number 1.
Oh, you've not lived. You've not lived if this is in your top 5 of board games of all time.
It's not great.
Please take a look at my list. None of them are little baby board games like Monopoly. Go buy an adult board game and play it, and you will love it. It's so far beyond Monopoly.
Dude, all my choices are totally appropriate for children, I'd like to say, and also awesome.
All way better than Monopoly. Anyway, all right. I always shit all over this and it takes forever, so we try to keep it along. So, all right, Screech, the rest of your Screech are actually pretty good. We love Clue. As a group, we all love Clue.
Wait, we're going to let chess go too?
Hold on.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Clue is also Zip's number 1, so semi-redeemed, still a little baby board game. Grogu is number 2. So Clue shows up, and it's a great game. Risk, Screech, go play Axis and Allies. Just go get it. Don't even look it up. Just go buy the game and play it because it's going to change your life. Settlers of Catan, we already said that. Great. Okay, chess. Chess is a board game that does belong on this list. It's the most classic of board games. I think there's only that one Chinese game that's older than chess. So the fact that it's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years is a testament to why chess would be number 1 on someone like Screech's list, who we know from his picking of 60s sitcoms a couple weeks ago that Screech is
that might have been his era.
Yeah, right. So being old ball Screech, chess belongs at number 1. And honestly, I know, Draq, that you want to poo-poo on this one, but it is a solid board game. It's great strategy.
I like to play chess, but I just don't put it on a board game.
It's definitely not going to be my number 1 board game or even in the top 5, that's for sure. Okay, so moving on. Zip, Scrabble, that's nerds. Nerd game, words, great. Most of us, as the 3 of us here on this panel, are terrible with words. Yet we have a podcast that we're on.
The game of life?
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
I feel like that's a troll.
Not
I feel
good.
like that's not even real.
Yeah. Shoots and Ladders, little baby board game. The only way to make Shoots and Ladders better is to drink with it. And anytime you go down a chute,
you have to add alcohol.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it makes the top 5.
And do you remember when it was Snakes and Ladders?
Yeah.
In our childhood, it was.
Yeah, Snakes and
wasn't
Ladders,
it Snakes and Ladders? Or maybe that's the opposite. Maybe it's Snakes and Ladders now. I can't remember. It used to be Snakes. Now it's.
I don't remember.
But I do remember sliding down snakes
because
rather
I was
than
so
chutes.
young when I played it.
Yeah. Yep. So that's fine. I highly recommend.
But wait a minute, I can't let this one go. Shoots and Ladders isn't. It's been a while, but isn't the whole catch to this is that if you land on a certain square, you can go down a ladder?
Yep.
You go up a ladder. You go down the chute.
You go down the chute, up the ladder.
Yep.
That's it though. That's just the gimmick.
That's the whole deal.
My issue with games like this is that it's just all luck based.
There's no skill.
There's no skill whatsoever.
No strategy.
Yeah. And so speaking of really shitty board games / card games, you ever played a game called Killer Bunnies? Have you heard of that game? This is the worst game of all time. If I had a top 5 list of worst board games of all time, Killer Bunnies is number 1. Absolute trash. There's no skill. You can have the best bunnies. You can have 19 of the 20 carrots and still end up losing. It's terrible. It's the worst game. It's just like Chutes and Ladders. There's no skill involved. You just randomly
you roll that
win.
4 at the end and hit the chute, and you
Boom.
go all the way back down to the bottom.
Yep. Stupid. And so that was the rest of Zip's list. We've already gone over the rest of them. Grogu, little baby board game in Candyland. That's fine.
Candyland.
Yeah.
Candyland.
Like I feel like when I throw out a thing of board games to nerds, that the list is going to look more like our lists and not like a 10-year-old making this list. Like
Candyland.
Candyland?
There's
is
not
it
even
number 5?
That's just like the most basic board game ever. There's nothing. It's like, we're going through the lollipop forest.
So good.
There's nothing happening.
You don't even roll dice. You draw cards that are colors.
Oh, you're right.
And you move to the color.
Because you're a little baby and can't handle dice because you swallow it.
Yeah,
You'll swallow the dice because you're so young.
You swallow the dice. That's why.
Unbelievable, Grogu.
Ouch.
Unbelievable. Then backs it up with his number 4, the game of life.
The worst. The game
So
of
Life
life is the
sucks,
worst.
Grogu. I don't want to play a board game that tells me how sucky my life is.
Yeah.
Why would I ever spend 2 hours of my actual real life playing fake shitty life? That's unacceptable. This is an unacceptable pick.
Yeah, then going through the game of life and be like, I don't think I want kids this time around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it turns out I'm a doctor instead of a janitor. What? What? This is
look.
terrible.
I just scored. My wife doesn't give me any passionate hand holding anymore for the game of life. It's so bad.
That's this list. Catan and Clue save this list because I don't know what Hero Quest is. What the hell is Hero Quest? Has anybody played this game?
No, Hero Quest. I'm going to have to back that up.
Okay.
I'm going to guess he has kids. Hero Quest. It's similar to many of the games in my list. Hero Quest can be actually pretty badass. I'm gonna back that one up. Hero Quest
your 1, 2, and 3 are acceptable, but 4 and 5, Grogu. My God,
I
hope
think
you're
just couldn't
live.
think of any more.
Maybe that could be it. Oh, board games. I can't be bothered to look at Google to see what board games I actually like. So I'm just gonna say Candyland.
Candyland is single-handedly the worst thing on this entire list.
You couldn't pick a worse game other than anyone that picked the stupid Killer Bunnies game.
I was going to say Operation is only slightly worse.
At least that has skill. Like you have to have
That's true.
a certain amount of
skill.
hand-eye coordination to be able to get that funny bone out of that dude's leg.
No.
Or wherever it's at. I can't remember. I've spent so long. Anyway, on to annoying llamas. Has anyone played Handyman before? I've never played that before.
No, I don't know.
Annoying Llama has lived an incredible life. Like the things that he comes with on these lists, I'm glad he's in our Patreon because I learn something new from him every week. It's great. So I'm going to look up Handyman, check it out.
He put now I got to mention something here. He put shoot and ladders. Now this is shoot. SHOOT.
That could have been a Draq mistype.
No, I didn't do that.
Hang on. That might be a different game.
There's like SHOT rather than CHUTES.
No,
Draq, make sure you put that. Make sure you
checking.
keep it shoot and ladders.
Because it's like the Texas version, I think.
That's the Dwimble version.
Instead of going down, you just get shot.
Yeah.
You know?
It's very different than the shoots and ladders that I used to play. Maybe that's why they changed it to snakes because people were confused.
I've double checked the rewind raid chat, and it is definitely put shoot and ladder.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right.
Well, you know what? What we'll do is we'll buy a copy of Shoots and Ladders and then like rebrand it. Or maybe Steve will let us into where he made his board game at so we can make our own version of Shoot and Ladders.
Hey, maybe that's Basgrub's board game. Maybe that's
Hey!
Oh, maybe it is. Maybe he's got early access.
Yeah, maybe that's You win, Nathan.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Well done. Well done. God, where do I get that early access to Basgard's board game? Let's go. Okay. Rounding the rest of his list out. Checkers. Okay. That's the dumb man's chess. Okay, it's fine. And then number 2 is
Not
Connect 4.
Not a board game.
Technically, it is a board game. The board game is just vertical rather than horizontal. Right.
I don't know. That
So
seems like a loophole.
it does count. But like, what do these adults playing all these little baby board games? You guys, step your board game culture up. I'm disappointed, especially Llama's #1 Monopoly. My God.
Number 1. It's his favorite game.
That's just inexcusable. Like, did you even give this list any thought? Just kidding, guys. I love you. Love our raid team. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for letting me shit on your games for 15 minutes. I love you. We'll see you next week when I do it again. Like, I woke up from my nap, my accidental nap. I just passed out on my couch because, we had Monday night way late last night and I had an early morning this morning. So I ended up passing out on my couch. And I wake up and I'm like, oh shit, we're not going to get Maury in. That's all right. We got Nathan on. It's going to be a 2.5 hour podcast.
I was trying to keep it short, but Nathan kept adding stuff in there. He's all, we're going to talk about Throne of Liberty. Let's go.
Yeah, we had to. It's the news.
Had to. That's good. Well, Nathan, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate you. We'll have you back. You're our brother, so we'll certainly have you back. Blast it on your channel that you're going to be here because we need all the clicks we can get.
For each day that passes brings us a day closer to the launch of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen Early Access.